Hello, welcome to the video. Before we get into the actual content of the poems, I wanted to start by putting emphasis that like 20% of poetry is more like it's about the aesthetic of the poem and how it looks on the page. So before we can even delve into like the meanings, I guess, I'm going to do a quick brief talk about how I formatted the Word document. Usually I like to write in Cambro font because it's very good and easy to read and it looks really nice in these videos as well, but I really didn't like how small the words looked on the page, and when I first started, when I first started writing, so I scaled it up by like 1 word size in the settings. That little comment is more for the AO3 people, as I wanted to go up a size on that website but couldn't because I don't know if you can, and I didn't bother to look up how. You'll also see a bit later that I messed around with the line spacing and ended up with a 1.5. Also, I also tried to keep the poems to 1 page each because it looks messy when it goes over. Italics were used for direct speaking to help break up the poem a bit because even though it's spread out anyway, it's nice to break up chunks of text. Anyway, I thought the quotations by themselves just looked really cringe. Okay, that out of the way, now I can go into the first poem, Moderation. Moderation came to me in the shower, which, as most people know, shower's just such a great place for ideas. Usually I forget that when I get out of the shower, or I only have one really good line I remember. But anyway, this line was the I Once Met a Girl motif, which is common throughout all poems, and I pretty much word for word mapped out the first poem in my head. You can see in the video though that a lot of it's just tweaking word choices and rereading, and there's a bit in the middle that I struggled with because I pretty much decided everything in the shower, and I wanted to I knew I wanted to give the smile a negative word associated with gaze that ended up being contempt, but I also wanted to include the eyes because I thought that was really important. I thought at first maybe giving the eyes a teeth quality, but it just didn't sound right. Imagine her eyes were bad. I don't know, I guess you could, but I didn't like it. I also didn't really like the conversation aspect that was happening between myself, the reader, I don't know, between whoever Moderation was talking to, and I didn't think it fit the characterization I wanted. So I actually combined these 2 aspects because speaking is kind of like teeth, right? And eyes don't speak. Yeah, eyes don't speak, and so it also presented a two aspect dimension to this character, where moderation is not just quiet contempt, which is a very easy thing to interpret moderation as, but there's also this underlying nature of greed. There's this want for more, which for whatever reason they don't take because they think they'll be taking too much, or they don't think they can take it at all. I also ended up having a different ending for the poem in my head, but I really liked the aesthetic of the repeated unable, and it just felt right, so I left it. Let me disagree, that's fair. It does feel a little bit unfinished, but I couldn't work out how to finish it better, so I'm rambling. Anyway, Annihilation was the next poem that I pretty much, I planned good half of it in the shower. Her concept really came from the fact that I wanted the antithesis of moderation. I could have chosen any other word, I guess, but Annihilation was the first one that came to mind, and I really liked the flair and the drama that it had. It really just felt intense, and that's what I wanted to go for. I also knew that this poem would probably be more dialogue heavy, as I got rid of most of the talkback dialogue and moderation, and I really wanted to make sure that Annihilation seemed more assertive. I had most of the dialogue play in my head. That was the planning I did in the shower, following the I looked through you to see the path line or whatever, but I didn't like the way Let's Walk Down it looked. I think it's because all of these supposed girls, they're not really girls, they're concepts, they're reflections of me and you, so I changed it to suit that. They're it is you who was able to do the things. These guys can't do them. I also had a little line for a bit there talking about the start of new life after I saw fire, I saw flame, for a bit, which was meant to represent the opportunities that come from following passion, but once again, this line didn't feel right. I think I only added it because I was focused on making Annihilation the opposite of moderation, who was jealous of those who can go after what they want. But Annihilation isn't the good guy in the story. It doesn't suit the character. Annihilation is not necessarily the thing you want to go for. So I just went back up to the top and I added some stuff to the rest of the poem to further emphasize that kind of cutthroat, bulldoze to get what you want kind of nature. Similar reasoning was also behind why I changed one of the nicknames from Dreams to the Secret Key to Success. And I was really happy with the ending of this poem, and I deemed it decently threatening and something that a reader could argue made Moderation better than Annihilation. It's like a real push-pull between the two poems, which was what I really wanted. So Fine Line is the shortest poem of the series. I could have done this whole bit about walking the line, or like having a long conversation about the pros and cons of wandering thoughts, whatever you consider wandering thoughts to be, just, you know, the what if I did this, what if I did that kind of like direction, but I don't know, it just felt so cliche, and I like the other two poems, I know that there's some cliches in there as well, but I felt like this one would be too much cliches. And as I said earlier, the aesthetic is really important, so the shortlist of the poem I felt was part of the aesthetic and really important to Fine Line's characterization. So do that with what you will. I don't know. I liked it. I really liked Fine Line. It was one of the better poems I enjoyed. Okay, Patience. Originally, Patience was actually going to be called Self-Reflection, in which myself / Larita, like, you know, us, I guess, were going to have a conversation about what we were waiting for. I changed it to Patience because I knew the name of the last character was going to be Reflection, and I didn't like the double up of that reflection, like, word. Of course, though, that pretty much changed most of what I originally had planned, especially the ending, since originally I was going to have the conversation with Self-Reflection end with Self-Reflection saying, it's not me, you know it's not me you need to talk to, I'm not the person you should talk to. Like, Self-Reflection is a very, like, omniscient, well, could have been a very omniscient character, which might have been almost detached, very objective in the way they speak and see things. But, Patience has a completely different vibe to that, like, it's so different. Like, I couldn't imagine the same thing for Patience as I did Self-Reflection, so we changed it more to fit an anxiousness to the character, because, anxiousness is, like, it makes sense, you know, there's a parallel between being anxious over something and waiting for the right time to go versus not going, and all of that. But like, to me, like, for example, to me, like, when she says wait, it's with like bated breath and a bit of fear in her eyes. Like, she's scared. It's scary. This poem feels like it's the least rhythmic out of the 5 as well, which I realized after I reread it, and I actually like think it translates to the anxiousness I was trying to capture really well. And that like little subtlety that I picked up, at least, is the reason I got rid of the "you're not ready, I'm not ready" line. I just felt it was too janky and more showing than telling, so I eradicated it. Reflection was the only poem I planned in the shower, but I felt like it was the only like last poem I planned in the shower. But I felt that this series needed 5 poems to be effective in translating whatever feeling I wanted to translate out of all of this too. But I also knew that like doing more than 5 was going to like make it obnoxious. So 5 it was, and that's why Fine Line and Patience exist. There's not really much to be said about this like last poem in terms of like a deeper meaning. I think it's pretty explicit what I'm going for here. But if it's your own interpretation is your own interpretation, I support it. I honestly hate like when authors tell you to think this, so completely just like shit on my ideas of what is happening, it doesn't matter. But for the record, this poem isn't me saying that people are perfect just the way you are and you should love yourself because there's nothing wrong with you. It's me just saying that you are you, and that's all you're ever going to be able to be. Like, you can't be more, you can't be less. Like, the concept of holding back, of moderating yourself, you can't be less than what you are, and at the same time, letting loose and following impulses doesn't mean that you're going to lose yourself and hurt the people around you. It's just the way you are in that moment. It doesn't stop, and you'll be different in the next moment, and that you'll be different in the next moment, but that moment is still you, and the past moments are still you, if that makes any sense. Like, I know myself in the same way that you probably know yourself, and I know that no matter what I'm feeling, that the me I see in the mirror every day is me, and being me, living in a state that is all I can ever really ask of myself. Anyway, if you came here from AO3 like I expect most people did, I hope you enjoyed yourself. This is probably my least performing work on there, proving once again that my marketing strategy on marketing my YouTube on AO3, but only writing to like niche little audiences, is probably not like the smartest thing I could do in the world. But oh well. If you're capable of leaving a comment, please do. If you've got nothing to say, at least let me know if you liked the walkthrough versus the usual poorly put together music I have on the videos. If any of this inspires you, like, feel free to run wild with it. I don't really care. Maybe leave me an honorable mention. Just don't steal my stuff word for word. Like, I'm not making any money off of this, and if you do, I will cry. So just don't do it, please. Anyway, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Please subscribe to AO3, I guess. But have a goodbye.